Hello.
Welcome back to Podium Pop.
We are super excited to get another episode on the books, and it is going to be a packed one. A lot of stuff has happened this week.
So much has happened this week.
We were originally talking about doing a beginner's guide, and we definitely still want to get that done. Ask all of our listeners for some questions about Formula One, and especially a lot of for our listeners that don't have any experience with Formula One, just kind of give a basic guide on things. But so much has happened this week that we did have to postpone that episode. Tentatively scheduled for next week, so keep an
hmm
eye on that. But we will go ahead and really just jump in. Like I said, we have quite a bit to go over. The
Yep.
biggest thing that we have to go over is the Daytona 24-hour race, or the Rolex 24-hour race, depending on what you want to call it. It happened this weekend. It actually just ended a couple of hours ago. The
hmm
very first time that both Grace and I decided to watch it, and it
Yep.
was a whirlwind.
I thought it was so exciting.
I've never, I've never really looked at endurance racing before. Obviously, I know it's
Me
a thing,
either.
but I've never, even like Le Mans, I've never watched Le Mans before. So I was super interested. I'm, homesick, so I kind of
hmm
use that as an excuse to do nothing with my life except learn all about the Daytona 24 hours. So I did a lot of research.
Great
Um,
research.
yeah, yes, thank you. What were your thoughts on it?
I really liked it. I don't know. I thought it was really cool, and obviously I love watching the races, so the fact that I could just tune in at any time and be like, "Oh, what's my team doing? What are my
Yeah.
favorite people doing?" Yeah, I love that.
I think one of the most interesting things to me about it is the like driver switching. Just because
Yeah.
it's a team, it's like one car and there's like a team of 3 to 5 people. And obviously that doesn't happen in Formula One at all.
Yeah.
Um, so it was super interesting to me to kind of see those interactions. Obviously, because it's a 24-hour race, they do fuel at the pit stops, which means longer pit stops, which did panic me a little bit. Like I was like, "Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go!"
Yes.
But it was a normal time actually for an endurance race, but it was a
Yeah.
little stressful to me for some of them. But it was really interesting. There were so many big names that were racing this year.
Oh, so many big
Um,
names.
Jensen Button,
Loved seeing him
formerly
race.
Formula One. Yeah, it was awesome. There were a lot of IndyCar racers.
hmm
Um, Pato Award, that was who we were rooting for.
Love Pato.
Love him. Joseph Newgarden, who won the Indy 500 in 2023, he was participating. Scott Dixon. There were just too many to name.
Yeah, so many.
Um, like I said, we were rooting for Pato's team. He was on the United Autosports number 2 car in the LMP2 category. The issue is, I think I cursed. I think I cursed us because they were doing really good.
They were doing so good.
I was watching all the way up until about like 11 p.m.
hmm
And I made a TikTok, and in the TikTok I said, "I'm really hoping nothing bad happens while I'm sleeping, crossing
You
my
did.
fingers."
You did.
I didn't cross my fingers long enough because I woke up to disaster. I actually woke up to Grace updating me. Do you
Yeah,
want
I was
to give
sending you a
them
text.
the update on what happened?
I woke up just randomly around I think 7 a.m. and I was like, oh, let me look. I left the broadcast on while I was sleeping, so I looked in and I was like, I don't see the number 2 car in the top 5, which that's all they showed on the leaderboard was the top 5 for
Mm-hmm.
each category. And I was like, oh my god. So then I went and looked and we were down by 2 laps
Oh,
and I was so
it
stressed.
hurts. And we never
I
really
think
recovered from that.
Yeah, we never recovered. When I caught back up in the morning, Pato had just finished an hour stint that he did that morning, and Nico took back over.
Hmm.
And which I thought that was very interesting that they kind of only gave him I didn't really understand that an hour stint. Him and Nico switched back and forth, and they each did an hour stint in the morning.
Yeah, it is always interesting. Like again, we this is our first endurance race we watched, so
Yeah,
like
we still have a
to
lot of
kind of
questions.
yeah to kind of see like where and why did they make the calls that they made, like the strategy.
Yeah,
I think is something that I still don't fully understand, why they put some drivers in at some point, why they pulled some drivers at other points. um, I also had a thought while I was doing it, and the reason why I had this thought is because Pierto Fittipaldi was called
You
in.
love him.
I love saying his name.
Yeah, you
Pierto
do.
Fittipaldi. Um, he was called in last minute because what was it? What was his name? Callum.
Clement,
It was
no,
Clement.
Clement Novalak.
Clement. Yeah. So he got injured, and he
I
wasn't able to
was
race. So they
so
they
sad
brought
about
in.
that.
They brought in Pierto, but
Yeah.
in like the interview they were doing with Pierto, they were like, was it hard? Is it difficult because you don't have like a seat fitted for you? And he was like, oh, like the
Oh,
seat actually like fit me perfectly by happenstance.
well,
Then I
that's
was like,
good.
but like I didn't see them switching out the seats when they switched out the drivers. Like,
I wonder if they like maybe adjust it like enough so it fits each person. And
yeah,
I've, because I know for Le Mans, because I've heard Max talk about this,
mm-hmm.
they try to do like the same size driver,
Oh yeah,
I think. I
mm-hmm.
could be so wrong, so let us know. But
Yeah.
so I
It's
think
just
they
so
try to,
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, and like that is true. Like the same like heights too, like to make sure that like their pedals that they reach are fine. And
yeah.
I also saw like a part of an interview where they had to adjust one of the pedals for Alexander Rossi because his like foot was too big, um, or they had to change shoe and then adjust the pedal. And like so they make that upgrade for him, but what if that doesn't fit well for one of his teammates? And it's always
Oh yeah,
like
that's so interesting.
how much can you like adjust, but how much do you have to compromise on that adjustment too,
Hmm.
to still make sure that the cars, fit well? Because Formula One cars and Indy cars, like they make these cars based on these drivers' bodies,
Yeah,
um, but like with these group races, that's so interesting to me. So that's something I think we'll need to do some more research on for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. That's very interesting.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
but yeah, Pato's team didn't win, which was very unfortunate.
yeah. Pato went back in at which I thought he would do this too. When I was texting you, he went back in around the 4 hour mark
Hmm.
to basically he was the fastest driver on their team. He did the best on the team,
Hmm.
and he went back in to see if they could unlap him, and we're hoping for a yellow flag, which there was one, but he couldn't get
Wasn't
unlapped.
long enough, yeah.
Yeah. And I thought if they got unlapped, they would just have Pato finish the race, which I'm assuming they probably would have, but they didn't get unlapped. So I think Ben Keating finished the race for them.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
unfortunate.
I know.
But all
I
in
can't
all,
wait for
I mean,
next year.
the race was really interesting. I think, we're already like talking about going to like some other endurance races. We're like looking up like ticket prices and everything.
We watch one
Um,
race and we're like, okay, yeah, we're in. We're
yeah,
hooked.
we'll add it. We'll add it to the things that we're keeping up with, along with IndyCar, Formula One, Formula
F2.
Two,
Yeah.
Formula One Academy. Like, what's one more,
No, right? We can handle it.
we can handle it. So, you could possibly hear some updates about
Hmm.
the WEC. They call it? Do they call it WEC?
I've heard it, yeah, be called whack before.
WEC. It's just
Whack.
kind of weird, but so yeah, we'll probably have some updates about that
Yeah.
as well throughout the year as races start happening a little bit more often. But I feel like this was like the big kickoff. Like things
Yeah,
are pretty
100%.
much from here on out until December. There is going to be like motorsports happening.
Yeah.
With car launches coming up. There's not a car launch this week, but then next week the first launch is actually it's Haas.
It's
I think is
Williams.
first.
Oh,
Is
are
it?
they
No,
first?
Haas announced it. I think they're doing it on. Oh, I think
You're
they're
right.
doing it on Friday. Actually, they're doing it on the second.
I think you're right,
So,
yes.
um, because I didn't know if they were doing like a launch event. They said that they were launching it, but there's no like information about it.
Hmm.
And I was like,
Yeah.
if they're doing a launch event, maybe it'll be in the United States. But I haven't heard anything about that yet. But they are launching
We
on
haven't either.
Friday. So, but that'll be the first one, and then I think Williams and Stake are doing theirs on the same day,
Yeah, on
on the
Monday.
5th.
Yeah.
Multiple coming out on Valentine's Day as well.
I know. They're helping us
McLaren
single girlies
and
out.
I know they're like these girls need this. Like they
Like,
need
you have
something to
nothing
look
else to
forward
do?
to.
We'll show you our new
Yeah,
liveries.
exactly. But yeah. Oh, but back to the Daytona. It was super interesting. Gracie,
Hmm.
you have the a recap on the winners.
I do. I have the winners for us.
Okay, perfect.
So, in the GTP category, which everyone was very excited about this, the Porsche number 7 car won, which was Felipe Nassar. He finished off the race for them. And in LMP2, that was the Orca car number 18. And Christian Ramassen, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He finished that for them. GTDP. God, this is not good for a dyslexic person. The Ferrari number 62 won, and with Daniel Serra, and then GTD, the Mercedes car 57 won with Daniel Morad.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
I know Felipe Nassar. That's the only like name of those that I know.
and then also on Felipe's team was Joseph Newgarden too, who
Yes,
again won the
yes.
Indy 500 this past year. So he's been having a fantastic,
Oh, he's having a great
year
year.
so far.
Yeah,
I like him. I obviously root for Aaron McLaren, so
hmm,
you know it's fine. But
yeah,
yeah, he's having a phenomenal year so far. So
yeah. He's been great.
that's
Very
good for
excited to see
him.
his Indy season 2.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Hmm,
So getting into back to the Formula One world,
hmm.
like we said, a lot has happened.
A lot.
Um, Touching, briefly on what we talked about last episode with the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls.
Yeah,
I wasn't 100% convinced that that was actually happening on the last episode,
I was hoping it
but
wasn't.
I think it's pretty much like a thing,
Yeah, they
unfortunately.
announced the full name.
Yeah, they did a cute little BRB post, which
Hmm.
was a nice little play on words. It was a very like light blue, like a bright blue
It was. I noticed
as
that.
well. So I wonder if they're kind of pivoting closer to that color away from the more like navy blue
Hmm.
color that they had.
Yeah,
Um, but they're also announcing it at the Super Bowl.
yeah. They're yeah announcing it Super Bowl weekend in Vegas. I don't know if it was ever said like at the Super Bowl, but like it's gonna be somewhere around the Super Bowl. I don't know.
Hmm.
That's insane. I feel like if they're announcing it at the Super Bowl, like Super Bowl weekend, I don't know, whether it's a commercial or whatever it is,
Yeah.
something big has to be happening with the team besides just a name change. Like, I wonder if it's going to
Hmm.
be maybe like a big new sponsor or.
Well, other than Visa Cash App.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But
Yeah. Well,
like we already know the name. I feel like if they
yeah,
wanted to give us a surprise name and they were doing that like at the Super Bowl, they wouldn't have told us the name yet.
that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like there's
Um,
something more with it.
Another thing to note, though, is when they're doing the car launch for the Formula One car,
Hmm.
they are also launching the livery for the Formula One Academy car at the same time,
Yeah, that's
which
really
we have
cool.
not seen done before. Like Formula One Academy is definitely not. Um, there's not as much hype around it, so there's never normally like a car launch for it. So that's kind of super exciting that they're putting some more focus on that, and I think we're going to see a lot of teams this year definitely putting more focus into their Formula One Academy teams, which I'm
Yeah,
very excited about. Formula One Academy is going to be in Miami while we're there, which is super exciting.
so excited.
Um, but I don't know a lot about the drivers for Formula One Academy, so I'll definitely need to dive in to do some research about them.
Yeah.
Um, but I thought that was super cool that they're including the, Formula One Academy car into the car launch.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. Definitely like
Hmm.
another step for Formula Academy.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Quadrant had a big announcement.
Thought that was pretty cool too.
Yeah, so for anyone who's not familiar with Quadrant, it is basically what is it? It started as what, just like a video? What, I don't even know
It's
what to qualify it
Lando
as.
it's an esports team. So Lando Norris owns it and it's an
Hmm.
esports team and they have 5 people signed to the team that are like streamers, video game streamers.
Hmm.
And then so now they announced this past week that they're now going to be sponsoring athletes. So they have picked 4 athletes and are sponsoring
Hmm.
them now.
Yeah, which is super exciting. Again, one of them being a woman,
Yeah,
which
I
is
loved
super
that.
exciting as well. Yeah, they announced in a very like dramatic, video. Lando was in it. Max Futrell was in it.
Yeah.
They also announced that they got a new co-owner. I forget his last name. It's Will
Oh,
something.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I know who he is. I don't know why. Like I don't know. I think he's like a vlogger maybe, or he
Yeah, I know he
started
does
as a
YouTube
vlogger.
videos. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've definitely seen some of his videos because I immediately recognized him. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it's super exciting, and I think I think it kind of opens up the door for Lando and Quadrant, and I think that they're going to continue to get bigger. Like, obviously, his dream, I mean, his direction is to get like a team sponsor, like a Quadrant team somewhere. And
Yeah.
I think I could see him getting like a Quadrant like karting team together.
Oh yeah,
Maybe
that'd be
being a
so cool.
sponsor in one of the single seater um divisions. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a step in the right direction, and I think
Yeah.
it'll be really cool to that they're all in different sports too.
Yeah.
There's skateboarding. Yeah.
Yeah. The way I thought of it was not to compare it to Red Bull, but it's kind of what Red Bull does, how they have athletes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, how like Red Bull has like snowboarding athletes, like X Game athletes, like athletes literally everywhere. It's kind of like
Yeah.
similar vibes.
Yeah. It's super cool, and I think that it's interesting because Lando comes off as so like nonchalant and like unserious about things a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Not about racing, but like about like outside of racing. He's very nonchalant, casual person. But it seems like he's got a really good like business mindset on what he wants to do, and I think it's really setting himself up for success on the life after Formula One, which again
Yeah, I
hopefully
agree.
isn't for a very very long time, which will lead us into another subject later.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's setting himself up for success in the future. So
Yeah, I agree.
super exciting.
Yeah.
Leading into our next topic,
Mm-hmm.
for both good news for both him and Charles.
Yes.
We do have a contract extension, multi-year contract extension for both of
Multi-year.
them.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on that?
I love to see it. I'm a little so Charles and Lando both for their current teams, Ferrari and McLaren, respectively,
Hmm.
have they announced they have new multi-year contracts, but we don't know how long. So
Hmm.
that's making me think like I've seen people talk about how maybe both either the teams and the drivers have like clauses in their announcement or in their contracts
Yeah.
that are like if you're not performing or if we're not performing, like you kind of have an out type of deal. So
Hmm.
that I feel like that could be why they're not telling us how long. But I'm very excited. Especially excited for McLaren, obviously. But
Yeah.
um, Lando and Oscar, I love their duo so much, and to see that more on the track, I'm gonna be very excited. And
Hmm.
like in media,
Yeah, definitely. I think it's also, I jokingly have written down that I'm sure Danny Ricciardo is very happy because that, every time Red Bull was like, what's your future look like? Obviously, Christian Horner is very good about keeping like, things under wraps. But
mm-hmm.
Helmut Marko's like, we want Lando, we want
Yeah.
Charles, we want this person. Get Sergio out of here, which like don't get me started on that situation. But
Oh my
um
god.
I think it's just kind of funny that like the two like people that aren't already in the Red Bull family, so Daniel, Yuki, Liam, Checo,
Mm-hmm.
Max. Um, those are the two names that have been floating around the most, and their contract
Yeah.
extensions were announced the same week. So I'm sure Daniel's like, "Oh, I got this,"
It's like
Like
I'm
I
in.
think Daniel would have been the choice anyways.
I agree.
But
Yeah.
I think this just kind of solidifies
When
they
the time
probably are
comes.
going to go with Daniel when the time comes. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so hard to know for sure because Sergio could come in and have an amazing year, and they're like, oh, let's keep him.
Yeah.
And Daniel could do horrible at Visa Cash App Racing Bulls. So
Yes. I also
V
V
carb.
carb.
Yeah,
I can't say that. On the kind of back to Lando a bit. I saw a lot of people because in the interview he did it was like released a little after the announcement. The interviewer was like, there's been a lot of he basically talked about how there's been rumors about how
yeah,
Red Bull wants him and they basically were like why do you want to stay here? Like what's that? Not like accusatory, but like just want to
yeah.
see.
Like, what
And
was your thought
Lando,
process?
yeah. And Lando basically talked about how he just like wanted to build up a team and he didn't want to go be a second place driver.
Hmm.
And I think that makes so much sense. And people were so mad. They were like, well,
People
why
were
wouldn't we?
so mad. They're gonna find any excuse to get mad
Yeah.
at Lando. And
No,
again,
they
I'm a little
will.
biased, not to be a Lando defender always. Like, he's not perfect. He's
Yeah.
close to it, but he's not perfect. But it's true. Like, if any other drivers, like, who would want to go be second
Yeah.
to Red Bull unless it's someone that is either one so early in their career, like a rookie, or someone
Yeah.
like coming from um, like a lower level team that they're like any excuse to get into like a Red Bull, I'll take it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or if someone is like an older driver, they're near the end of their career. But someone
Like
like
Daniel.
Lando, who was exactly like Daniel,
Yeah.
like Liam Lawson,
Yeah.
I think he would obviously jump at a chance to go to Red Bull. But for someone like Lando, who's literally in like his hopefully not his peak, but like he is in his prime, like he is
Yeah, like
killing
he's
it. He
climbing,
had a
climbing.
great season. He's developing more and more. There's no reason he would go where he is literally like
Yeah.
McLaren's like perfect. Like McLaren loves him.
Yeah,
They are
he's also
putting
has
all the attention on him, and
yeah.
it just wouldn't make sense for him to switch over to Red Bull.
No, and he has such a like long relationship with this team. Like why would he
Mm-hmm.
just go up and leave right now to go join another team where he already knows he's going to be like a second driver?
Yeah. I mean, he's been with McLaren for a long time. They posted with his contract extension, they posted
That
like
was so
a
cute.
then and now, the picture of him at, age, what, 17,
Yeah, I
joining
think
their
so.
driver program. He literally looks so young, which he was. He was so young.
Oh yeah.
Um, and to think that, like, he's been with McLaren, like, he's been with these same people since then,
Mhm.
he's not just going to ditch them for the chance to drive in a Red Bull,
No.
especially when McLaren was competing pretty. I mean, they weren't beating Red Bulls last season, but they were close,
Yeah, they
and
were
they were closer than any of the other teams near the end, at least consistently. So, yeah, it would have been, I think, a pretty dumb move for him to move to Red Bull.
yeah. I think staying with McLaren is just a good thing for him all around.
Yeah, for sure. And as far as the Charles contract extension, as much as I get frustrated with Charles,
Yeah,
not I don't get frustrated with Charles.
with
Actually, let me
Ferrari.
make that clear.
Yeah.
I get very frustrated with Ferrari, and I think Charles gets frustrated with Ferrari. And you could always be like, why would he stay with this team that he keeps getting mad about? Um, upset with because their strategy is shit and their car is not reliable, and they just make questionable decisions all the time. But like, I get it. It's Ferrari. Like,
Yeah.
you can't just leave Ferrari. And one, even if you did leave Ferrari, where else would he go?
Yeah. I
Like,
don't
there's not another spot for him. He wouldn't be. The same thing with Lando. He wouldn't go to Red Bull and be a second driver to
no.
Max.
He's not going
Because
to leave for
again,
a
he's
midfield team.
exactly he's not going to. And Mercedes. I don't
They're
think
locked.
George or Lewis are going anywhere. Like, they are locked in at Mercedes.
Mhm.
And so I think Ferrari was really his only option to
Yeah.
stay with. So,
And like
but again, it's Ferrari. Like,
yeah, we all know this has been his dream, like he said, since he was like 2 years old.
yeah.
And he
So
he
I
wants
get
to win
it.
champions with them. So, yeah.
Hmm. So the McLaren driver lineup is locked in. Oscar's with them until 2026.
Mhm.
I am wondering what is going to happen with Carlos, though.
I know. I texted you earlier this week and made a presumption. I think in 26 Carlos would go to Audi
Hmm.
when they rename from Stake F1
Yeah,
and Audi
I,
takes over.
I mean, I could see that. I think it would be hard for Carlos to actually make that call, mainly because
Yeah.
it's with a new team coming in like that, you just never really know what to expect and how they're going to do. And again, leaving a team like Ferrari, like just the name alone
Yeah, that's true.
and like the legacy alone, it would be really hard to leave. But if they continue to definitely put more focus on Charles's strategy, which I wouldn't say that they did last season, but
Yeah, I don't
prior
think so
seasons I
either.
feel like they did. Last season it seemed a little bit more fair between them. But if it starts looking like they're going to continue putting kind of focus on Charles, then I think maybe it would be a good move for him to move.
Mhm.
But I just can't. I think it'd be the hardest thing ever as a driver is to leave a big team like that for
Yeah.
the possibility that you're moving to a better team or the possibility that you're moving to the new Haas. God forbid.
I had no clue what you were gonna say there. Oh, my AirPod fell out. I laughed too
Yes.
hard. Um, I
But
also I also feel like Carlos loves Ferrari too. Not as much as Charles, obviously,
mhm,
but yeah, I think he loves that team as well.
yeah, it's
So
again the legacy alone. Like,
yeah.
there's no comparing it. But speaking of Carlos, another good segment.
Oh yes.
Um, an announcement was made this week that in 2026, right?
Yeah, 26.
They're officially bringing a circuit to Madrid, the
Mhm.
Madrid Grand Prix. I don't know if they're going to call it the Madrid Grand Prix or the Spanish Grand Prix.
Oh yeah, I don't
Technically, the
know.
Spanish Grand Prix is in Barcelona,
Mhm.
but they're moving it to Madrid, and it is going to be a half like normal circuit
Yeah.
and half road
Yeah, half street
street
circuit.
circuit,
Yeah.
which from so far I haven't seen any races like that. I don't know if there's other circuits like that, but it'll be really interesting. I personally am making it my goal to get there in 2026. I think that'd be awesome to be at
Yes.
the first one.
I think that'd be so
Um,
fun.
I've been to both Madrid and Barcelona, and I will say most people kind of lean like Barcelona more just because there's like a beach and it's a little bit more. Um, I feel like there's more like clubs there. But
Mhm.
I really enjoyed Madrid whenever I was there, so I would love to go back. I'd love
Yeah,
to
I
go back
think
there
that'd be so
for a
fun.
Grand Prix.
Oh my gosh,
I
yeah.
have been practicing my Spanish on Duolingo, so I am prepared.
Amazing.
Um, so I'm not fluent, but I can say the important things. I can ask where
Yeah.
the bathroom is.
You could get
Um,
us around.
yeah, I can get you around. But I think that'd be awesome to go to. That's super exciting. And you just know Carlos is probably so excited about that to be
I know.
in his home. He is, he loves Madrid so much.
Yeah.
So,
I'm so happy for him for that.
hmm so that's super awesome.
On
Um,
on that same vein,
yeah.
there last night, which last night it was found out that I think the FAA or Formula One
hmm
has trademarked, right? Trademarked
Yeah.
the name,
Trademark,
yeah,
trademark, copyright, something like that.
whatever it is, the Chicago Formula One Chicago Grand Prix. So,
Okay, I have thoughts about this,
okay, well,
and
we know
they're
my
gonna
thoughts.
they're gonna get me in trouble. I think
We
I
have very opposite
understand.
thoughts.
I know. I understand that the United States has too many Grand Prix right now.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that. We have Miami, we have Las Vegas, we have Coda, right?
Mm-hmm.
But all of them, despite living in the United States, are 12 plus hours away from me.
Yeah,
If if they actually do the Chicago Grand Prix, it's a 4 hour drive, piece of
it's really
cake.
close to us.
We have friends that live in Chicago. We've been to Chicago multiple times. We know how to get around the city. We're familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
I personally would love it selfishly.
Yeah, that's so fair. Like, I
With
selfishly, I would go 100%.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
But I understand that there's too many. And then, in that case I would say, okay, take away one of the other Grand Prix in the United States, but then you get the question of which one. Coda, you can't take away Coda.
no, they
It's
never
way too
will.
established. They will never take away Coda. I won't let them.
Yeah, I was to say, if they do, I'll be so upset.
I will protest by going to the Formula One race. I'm not going to boycott it. But they can't take away Coda.
No.
Everybody hates the Vegas race.
I think
I
after
think it
Vegas
was.
actually happened,
Hmm.
people liked it for the racing it gave, but like the good racing it gave, but the people in Vegas, like the people that actually live there like year round, they didn't like it.
I did not like it very much. So I could see maybe them getting rid of that one, but it's been so much work to get it up and running. Like,
Yeah.
and they also have a contract. I don't know how many years in that contract is until they have to have it a certain amount of years.
Yeah.
I'd have to look into that. But the other one is, a couple of months ago, I would have said, get rid of the Miami Grand Prix. We don't need it.
I would have too.
But I'm going to the Miami Grand Prix. And as of right now, obviously, I am excited. I'm so excited to go to Miami Grand Prix. Obviously, don't get rid of it for the 2024 season. But
Imagine if they're like, hey, actually, Canceling it.
Canceling it.
Sorry.
Sorry. um, but I just know once I attend it, I'm gonna have a real sentimental connection to
Yeah.
it. So then I'm like, well, don't get rid of the Miami Grand Prix. So then you're just left with like, well, what do we get rid of? And then it just leads to a whole other issue. We
Yeah.
just can't have 4 Grand Prix in the United States. Like that's
No.
an insane amount.
Yeah. And also I don't think they would put Chicago on like the schedule for a while because Madrid is
It
coming in
would be,
26. Yeah, it would be a
yeah,
while, but
yeah, but it would be
still.
cool. And it is interesting what it
Yeah.
do. Is it going to be a street circuit?
It
If it's
is.
a
I
street
feel like it would
circuit, is
have
it
to
a
be.
street circuit?
I think
Yeah, I
so.
mean they could have it like a little bit outside of Chicago, probably,
That's
but
true.
a street circuit would be pretty cool through Chicago, though.
Yeah. Oh, well, I also just like in such big cities like that, how would they get? Well, I mean, they did it in Vegas, but Vegas was a lot of the
In
strip.
Vegas,
But like, how
yeah,
would you get up the grandstands? Like, I feel like the people in those apartment blocks and stuff would be pissed.
yeah, that's true.
Like, oh,
And then with all of the street closures, there's so much traffic in Chicago. I mean, it's
oh my
not New
God,
York,
yeah,
but there's so much traffic there. It would be really, I think, interesting to see how they pull that off.
yeah, it would be very interesting.
Again, these are all kind of rumors too. Like, there's
Yeah,
nothing like set in stone. Maybe they just decided to trademark a bunch of cities. That way, in the
just in
future,
case.
just in case, like,
They did it to
um,
piss off a bunch of people.
they're like, let's just like rile them up a little bit. Let's just make them panic.
Yeah,
But once that comes to it, I think we'll see. But I think it would be again convenient for me because again, four
yeah,
hours,
for sure.
the closest that we would get, closest we'd be to a Grand Prix.
Yeah,
But we don't know. Don't know about that one.
don't know.
Not sure.
In other news, we have some more Ferrari news.
Uh huh.
So Arthur Leclerc, Charles' brother, his own, he's a racing driver as well.
Hmm.
He was announced for the Ferrari driver development program, which that's so cool. He's going to be helping, like in The Sims, developing the car for his brother. I feel like
Yeah,
that's just like a cute, wholesome moment for the family.
it's so cute. Did you see
Yeah,
like Charles like shared Arthur's
yeah, that was so
post
cute.
and put like a little heart emoji on there?
Love
Like
them.
I just love how I don't know. It's just so interesting to see like the brothers because you see a lot of like father son duos in
Yeah.
motorsports, like Carlos Sainz Senior and Carlos Sainz Junior, and
Hmm.
Max and his dad and all that stuff. Um, but like brothers, it's like them racing at the same time
Yeah.
in like the same like spaces. I think is super interesting. I'm just so happy for him. Arthur, I
Yeah, me
love
too.
Arthur. I was um I think he needs a chance to prove that he can do it.
Yeah, I think so.
So I'm super excited for
Yeah.
him.
We also have Ollie Berman. He is now a reserve driver for Ferrari as well.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
he is quickly working up his ranks in the Formula One sphere. He's racing for
Yes.
Formula Two this year with Prima, I believe. God, if I got that wrong, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I actually don't know who he's racing with.
Okay, well, let's just pretend I didn't say that.
We'll do
Um,
research.
yeah. And so then he'll be a reserve driver for Ferrari as well.
Hmm. He also this week
Oh,
broke
yeah.
the hearts of hundreds and thousands of 16-year-old girls around the world by
Everywhere.
soft launching his new girlfriend. How old is Ollie? He's
18 or
pretty young,
19, I think. Yeah, I
18
think
or
he's young.
19. Yeah. Um, Good for him.
Yeah, great.
They look happy together. I don't really know much about um, really any of the F2's like personal life. I
Yeah,
don't
I
really
don't
keep
either,
up with
yeah.
them that much. So I didn't even know that he didn't already have a girlfriend. So whenever I saw the picture, I was just like, oh, okay. And
I
then
know,
I
I
saw
thought it
like
was
a bunch of
normal.
like the TikToks and them being like, oh my which is just so sad for them. I mean, I've been there. I was a One Direction fan at one point too, like
Yeah, yeah.
I had to go through the same struggles as them. But yeah, good for Ollie and the nice little soft launch. I think soft launching the WAGs is so interesting.
I
I would
love a good
love to
soft
be a
launch.
wag. Me
Oh
too.
yeah, yeah.
I'd love a good soft launch.
Like
If I
even
ever
like
get a
friends on
boyfriend,
Instagram.
I will. Yeah, I if I get a boyfriend, I will be soft launching. I don't care if nobody cares. I'm gonna still soft launch.
All my close friends and the important people know who he is. I'm soft launching him anyway.
We're still gonna soft launch. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, for sure. Um, but yeah, no, I think wags are. I love keeping up with the wags. Who's your favorite wag?
Oh, I don't know if I have one.
See, I
Who's
have
yours?
two favorites:
Okay.
Lily
Oh yeah, I do love Lily. Both
and
Lilies.
Carmen. I love both Lilies. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oscar's Lily and Alex's Lily. I was talking
Yeah.
about Alex's Lily. And then I also love Carmen
Oh yeah.
because she's just
I
so fabulous.
She is so fabulous. I feel like everything she does is like elegant. Like her outfits are always
Yeah.
so good.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
She
Uh,
looks like way more sophisticated than I could ever hope to be.
like she has a like yeah, just kind of like the I guess like a little bit of preppy vibes.
Uh-huh.
Kind of yeah, I love it.
Yeah. That's great.
I'm trying to
Um,
think. I like
yeah.
I really only see much from Kaika, Pierre's girlfriend. I think that's how you say
Uh-huh.
her name. Because her
Yeah.
TikToks pop up on my For You page, and so do Alex, Charles' girlfriend.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I see a
They
lot
have
of
some good
TikToks
TikToks.
by not that they're an F1, but from Vic's girlfriend.
Oh yeah, Lila,
And
Lila,
then
I think.
Lila, I think so. And then Liam Lawson's girlfriend.
Oh yeah, I love Hannah.
Yeah, she's super sweet. How old is Liam Lawson? Is he like
I think
22?
he's 21. He's young.
21?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Is he but he's older than Oscar, right? So maybe
No,
he I,
Oscar's 22, turning 23 this year.
oh my gosh, he's getting so old.
We say it's we're turning 27 this year. Don't
Let's not
remind
talk
me.
about it. Yeah. Um, but yeah, no, I think Liam Lawson's girlfriend is adorable.
They're cute together too, like in his YouTube videos.
Yeah, in the vlogs. I love that
Yeah,
he's vlogging.
I know. I feel like that's a really good call.
Uh-huh.
Like
It's
he
again
already.
that extra job security. Like these new like Gen Z Formula One drivers, like they they're one thing about them is they're still going to be making money after Formula One. Like it was
100%.
so normal to be like, oh, you go to Formula One and then you become like a presenter, like Jensen Button, he presents like that kind
Yeah.
of thing, or you go to like IndyCar, or, you know, endurance racing, anything else. But now it's like all like I'm gonna be a vlogger, I'm gonna be a
Mhm.
video stream, like a video game streamer, that kind of
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, Lando has plans to start an OnlyFans. You know, just kidding.
No, I think that was
It's
Daniel
possible.
Ricciardo.
I think they both have joked. Lando definitely joked about starting an OnlyFans, but I could see Daniel actually starting an OnlyFans. So, but yeah, just I think it's interesting the pivot that's been happening.
Yeah. It's
If you
also
could see any of what, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was gonna say for Liam, it's really smart because he got a lot of support this year from Formula One fans, and
Uh
he
huh.
did he had support before he raced those 5 races, but he's taking those fans with him to YouTube, and then he's
Yeah.
gonna gain a bigger audience, and then that audience is gonna follow him back to racing. Like
Yeah.
over, it's such a smart idea.
Yeah. Super smart. I was gonna say if any of the current drivers on the grid, who could you see becoming a Formula One like presenter when they retire?
Hmm. I could see Daniel because he's
I was
very
gonna say Daniel
charismatic.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Oscar, that's not happening for him.
No.
He's not
Or
going
like
to do
even
that.
like Max would be like trying to like explain the race. He'd be like Max explaining like, but like he'd be like, how was your race?" And they'd say like, "Oh, it was good. I think this." He's like, "No, no, no. This is what
Yeah.
you should have done. This is what I saw." And then it wouldn't be good.
It'd just be Max talking
Um,
the whole time.
yeah. And of course, you know, he's gonna be. I'm assuming by the time he retires, a massive legend. So they would just be like, "Yep, whatever you say. You're so
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Yep, you're Max Verstappen." Um, I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. I could see like no, I don't think Lando would actually.
No, I don't think so. I think once
I
Lando
think,
retires, he'll stick with like the gaming and his
yeah,
company.
uh-huh. Maybe George Russell.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I could see that for sure.
I think he would be a great Formula One presenter.
What about team principal? Who do you think after they retire could be a team principal?
Fernando.
I was thinking the same thing.
I love Fernando.
Yes.
I would love
God.
for him to take over as
He'd
a
be
team
so
principal.
encouraging as a team principal too. Like he's already
Yeah, I
so
think
encouraging with like
he's
Lance last year. God,
yeah.
as a team principal, that'd be amazing.
And he like just the experience alone, like
Yeah.
he's literally been in Formula One for so long. I wonder what the like most amount of years one driver has participated in Formula One. I wonder what that amount is.
That's a good question.
I'm gonna write that down to look it up.
Okay. Cuz didn't he start in 01? Am I making
His
that up?
first race was in '01. I remember because there was an interview about how Oscar
Oh,
was born
yes.
a month in 2001, a month after Fernando's first
Yes,
race,
that's
which is
right.
so funny to me
That's
that they're both
insane.
that they're both doing it at the same time. Um, yeah, that'd be iconic actually.
Mhm.
But yeah, a lot has happened. What else did we? Oh, the only other thing I have on my list is the picture that George Russell posted on his Instagram of him and Fernando flying together and playing ping pong
Yes, that was cute.
on the plane. Um, I felt it was important enough to put it on my list to recap.
Yes.
I mean, that next to all of the other news that happened, like contract extensions, new circuits being added, it seems minor, but in my heart, it's just as important as the other stuff we talked about.
I love that. Somebody tweeted and said, "I knew they were besties, but I didn't know they were besties besties." And like
Yeah,
that's
like
so true.
there's so like I feel like I don't see them like interact a lot other than their New Year's Eve posts, which
God, I love those.
yeah. But it's one of those like unlikely like duos, I think.
Mhm.
Because the picture that George posted of New Year's Eve from 2022, I thought it was just like a one off, like oh
Yeah,
my
I thought they
god,
like
they ran
ran into
into
each
each
other.
other,
Yeah.
and then they posted again together in the New Year's Eve 2023, and then they posted this all within like a couple of weeks of each other, and it's like, oh, like what if they're just like best friends and they
I
just
know,
didn't
right?
ever talk about that, you know?
I love that. George
Alex better
also
watch out.
George also posted a video with, or not a video, a picture with Sebastian Vettel on the mountain skiing.
Oh my goodness, yes, because he also ran into Toto and Susie,
Yeah.
um, and then he posted the picture of Sebastian.
How does he
I
do that?
love that man.
Like, how do you run into your boss and racing legend Sebastian Vettel on
Well,
one trip?
I'm sure he purposely met up with his boss.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But yeah, Sebastian Vettel. I think I would have loved for Sebastian Vettel to become a Formula One presenter. Not because I think he'd be good at it, but because I just need more content
Yeah,
of
I miss
him.
Sebastian Vettel. I will always miss Sebastian Vettel.
Like that one little B segment we got in 2023, that just wasn't cutting it for me. I do need
Wasn't
more.
enough.
Um, but I could actually see Sebastian Vettel being a good team principal.
I was thinking that too. I don't know if he would want to, like, get that much back into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe a race engineer.
Hmm.
Like
Maybe.
you know the people on the radios.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Could be.
I'm coming up with any excuse for him to be involved at
To
this
see
point.
Sebastian Vettel every two
I,
weekends.
I miss him.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, that is everything I have on my list. Did we miss anything on our recap?
Nope. I'm just looking back at my notes and I have Pato written down in all caps.
Yeah. Like the fact that we had a whole episode planned and then we're like, oh, like a couple things happened and we're like, oh, we'll need to touch on that a little bit at the beginning. And then the list just got so big, we're like, you
It
know
got
what,
so long.
this has to be the full episode. And
Yeah.
like this is gonna happen like all the time now. Like we're just gonna
Especially when.
continuously get this much content every week, which I'm so excited about.
God, I can't wait.
Winter break's been long. It's been
It
cold.
has.
It's been a hard winter.
It's also been rainy here, so.
It's been rainy. It's been snowy. It's been raining all week here. So I just can't wait. But yeah, I think the Daytona 24-hour race, it reignited something in
Yeah,
me this weekend.
it really
And
did.
that something that got ignited in me was a level of obsession that terrifies me
Yeah,
a
me
little
too.
bit, but also it just feels right.
Yeah. Something
So,
about the fact that it is going on for so long and
yep.
I can tune in and watch it at any
And
time.
it's
And
still like I was still watching it, and there'd be like 15 hours left of the race, and I still was like, oh my gosh, like I don't want it to end. I don't want it to
yeah,
end.
when I woke up this morning, I was like, oh no, like Pato's team is down a lap. We only have 6 hours to go. Like, that's not enough. I need more. We need more time. And then I was like,
Yeah,
that's 6 hours still.
yeah. Because even though like I'm used to that, the Formula One races, like they'll be in like lap 4, and I'll be like, no, like it's
Yeah.
going too fast. I love watching it, and so even like a 24-hour race, I was like, oh, like I won't feel that. No, I
No, I
still
did.
felt it.
I sure
I felt
did.
it.
God,
So,
I feel like if I was like younger, like imagine us in college, I feel like we would have just stayed up for as long
oh,
as possible.
if that happened while we were in college, like even like what 4, I was gonna say like even like 4 years ago, but that was when we graduated college.
Yeah.
Whoop. Uh-oh. But like
We gotta
even
stop.
like 5 years ago, when we were
Yeah.
like sophomores or juniors, like we would have stayed up and watched that full thing,
Oh my
no
god, yeah.
question. I considered it now. I didn't because I'm sick and I definitely needed my sleep. But like,
Yeah.
I really thought about just staying up and watching it. I didn't want to ruin my sleep schedule though for work this week.
Yeah,
They're like,
that's
"Why are you
fair.
so cranky? It's Monday, but why are you so cranky?" I'm like, "I got no sleep this weekend
Like, oh, why?
by choice."
I did it on purpose.
Yeah, that did
Yeah.
happen at one point last year where I woke up at like 3 a.m. for one of the qualifyings, and then
Oh
I
my
couldn't go
god,
back to sleep.
you were insane that day.
And I like had I was at work and I was so like cranky, I guess. And I was like sitting there, I was like, why am I like this? I'm like, oh, I got no sleep and it was my own fault, and
Yeah.
I can't complain about it to my coworkers because again, it's just my own fault.
I did this to myself.
So I know I did it to myself. So I was trying to be a little bit more responsible and
What
not stay up all night.
I just the other day looked at the schedule for preseason testing.
Oh
It's like
no.
in the middle of the night for us.
And
So,
I'm gonna be watching it, unfortunately.
yeah,
Just need to
unfortunately.
do a better job of caffeinating myself the next morning. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that's everything that we have to recap
Yeah.
on. We're super excited to, see everything coming. Oh, the last announcement is Drive to Survive did get
Oh,
announced
yes.
when the season is coming out. It is February 23rd.
Yeah. We'll do a
I will be
full
watching.
yeah, we'll do a full episode recap on Drive to Survive.
Yeah, so super exciting for that happening.
Yeah,
Anything to get more content.
of course.
Um, But yeah, we're super excited. Next week's episode, the plan is to do a beginner's guide. So we will be posting on social media at some point this week,
Mhm.
basically asking for questions, anything that you can think of as far like questions about Formula One. Like, I don't understand this. I don't understand why there's only two drivers for each team, and if we don't know the answer, we'll look it up before we have the podcast episode,
We'll
or
do our
we'll talk
research.
through it together.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's just a basic little guide because I know a lot of our viewers or listeners don't know much about Formula One right now.
Mhm.
So
No dumb questions. Can ask us anything.
yeah, if it's a super dumb question, we just won't read it. We won't read it out loud.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
tune in next Monday for a new episode. If you liked this episode, give us some 5 stars, all
Yes.
stars, and definitely give us a follow. We would really appreciate it. Follow us on all of our social media. And yeah, thank you for tuning in.